Next item, race rate under the title of Race Issues. Sasha Johnson, who is a Black Lives Matter leader in the UK, has now decided to set up a new party that will exclude white people from leadership roles and tweeted about enslaving whites. Now, this is what was stated in the report. She's just a young female black version of old white racists saying she's fighting. And it said another day dawned in Britain with yet another ridiculous demand from the intersectional left during a 1 million-person march that was attended actually by only 400 people in London. A BLM leader announced that they would be forming the first black-led political party in Britain, and this party will be called Taking the Initiative Party. I would like to rename it Taking the Piss Party, because that's what it is. And she said, though this party will be black-led, it will be a party for the working class. So quite why the racial aspect is necessary if this is a class-based movement is anybody's guess. But it probably has something to do with the person who announced its formation. The TTIP was revealed to the world by a lady named Sasha Johnson, and according to a vomit-inducing interview with a YouTube channel called Oxfordshire Youth, Sasha is an amazing youth worker, freedom fighter, activist and business owner. Apparently not content with those accolades, she unironically calls herself the Oxford's Black Panther. Oh dear. She doesn't explicitly say whether by that she means she's a fictional superhero from Wakanda or a member of the Marxist Black Power organization from the US. But based on her preference for a beret over a vibranium catsuit, we can assume the latter. Now, the report went on, Sasha has had an eventful few months since Black Lives Matter movement kicked off again. And as a result of this, she says she has become a symbol of the revolution. Actually, no. You will become a puppet of the system like Greta Thunberg and labelled as a racist by many of your own people, never mind others. So what kind of revolution is this pound shop Che Guevara planning? Well, no surprise, a communist one, obviously, but one with a healthy side of racial supremacy to go with the Marxism. And Miss Johnson first came to national attention a few weeks ago after she was filmed repeatedly calling a black man who didn't believe that the UK was systematically racist and proceeded to call him a coon, which has a different connotation in America, as it's a little furry thing that's far more cute than a cat. A coon is the equivalent of the N-word in America. A black woman calling a black man a coon. Seriously. And was also threatening him with violence, then taking exception with him for calling her a black woman angry after she explicitly said she was. Now, the issue with this is the race card has been used on us all. But this political correctness program was not designed to look after black people, but to give them a platform to perform to squash all the other colours. Not all black people, but the ones that get used. And black power ultimately is the tool of the Hebrew Anunnaki sub-grey race. And perhaps this next story will make up your mind further. A US academic whose work focuses on Africa and the African diaspora, has said this week she lied about being black. Jessica Krug, an associate professor at George Washington University, admitted that she was in fact, quote, a white Jewish woman from Kansas City, unquote. And she said, I've built my life on a violent anti-black lie, and I've lied in every breath I have taken. And her case brings strong parallels to Rachel Dolezal, who is described as a white race activist who claimed to be black. Now, Ms. Dolezal first made headlines in 2015 when her parents outed her as being white. And the former civil rights activist and African studies instructor had kept up the pretense of being African American for years, but she said she has identified herself as black. Now, writing in a Medium post that was published on Thursday, Jessica Krug said she had falsely assumed identities and, quote, that I had no right to claim. First, North African blackness, then US-rooted blackness, then Caribbean-rooted Bronx blackness, unquote. And she described her behaviour as the very epitome of violence, of thievery and appropriation, of the myriad ways in which non-black people continue to use and abuse black identities and also cultures, adding that she had continued the pretense even in her personal relationships. But she went on to blame her lies on mental health issues and traumas experienced in her early years, although she said this was not an excuse for her actions. And Ms. Krug's post did not give a reason for her decision to admit her deception nor its timing. However, the screenwriter Hari Ziad said her admission came because she'd been found out. My opinion. First off, let's be factual. The Jewish people are not white. And this unfactual statement has caused the white race much blame, shame and guilt, and that has been passed down over generations. It rendered the British and Dutch countries through the East Indies tea companies as racist and bullies when it was all ran by Jewish owners and their slave ships. So what is the purpose of this line about colour and race? Well, it can only mean one thing. That person is being paid to run a nefarious program. And these types of programs have been ran under the hidden hand tactic for generations, the latest of which is Black Lives Matter program. It's not a movement. It is a program of divide and conquer being ran on the people, by the people, whilst those that created it sit back and laugh in expensive boardrooms. And no, this is not a career move as it would be made out, or a way to overcome racism either. It is a program, and this woman has earned good money to run a program on and against the people. Now, Krug, whilst born elsewhere, found her fame and path in New York City again. This song kind of sums up that. A flashback in time, that for me. It was just propelled back 30 or so years ago to a rainy night in Manchester, listening to that live. Fantastic. Right, on we go with the race issues. And there's been other ones that have been unfolding. And thousands of people have protested in Pakistan after the French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo reprinted a cartoon parody of the Prophet Muhammad to mark the opening of the trial of the alleged accomplices to the deadly 2015 attack on its officers. Now, the demonstrations began on Thursday and continued into Friday, spreading to other cities such as Lahore and Islamabad, with crowds marching and some people burning the French flag, shouting "Stop barking French dogs," was reportedly chanted by one group of angry marchers. And there we have it again. You know, I get people get emotionally charged over religion. It was what that program was designed for. But at which point do the people realise they're being played for fools? If you wish to believe in Muhammad and an entity from the distant past that no one alive today has seen or heard for concrete proof, then that's fine. But I would ask the people who are following Muhammad, what would he think of you demonstrating on his behalf today? Do you think he would approve of it? Higher evolved beings would not. So why do you do it? It's all a distraction game, and your protests would be better served in coming together to demand better lives and lifestyles for the thousands of Pakistani peoples who are living in abject poverty, and not some ridiculous cartoon drawing. Demonstrating and ranting over a cartoon is childlike thinking, and I'm certain Muhammad himself would have agreed. Think different. Next we're going to South Africa, and more race issues again, common theme. And the South African governing African National Congress, ANC, has called the US President Donald Trump divisive, misogynistic and disrespectful in a response to reports that he was dismissive about Nelson Mandela, the country's first black president. Now, Mr. Trump said the Nobel Peace Prize winner was no leader. And this is according to his former lawyer, Michael Cohen. And the allegation comes from Cohen's new book, Disloyal, a Memoir. Now, the White House says that Cohen is lying. Cohen being the operative and indicative word in this exchange, in my opinion. And as well as criticising, or allegedly criticising Mandela, who, let's not forget, was one of the trustees. Yes, that's correct. And the US president is reported by Cohen to have said, "Tell me one country run by a black person that isn't a shithole. They are all complete expletive toilets." Now, the words apparently echo similar allegations from 2018 that Trump referred to African countries as shithole nations. Now, whether Trump said those things or not, it has to be said there is an element of truth to the comments when you remove the colour or race connections from them. There are many African countries, if not all, that are in complete disarray and are not serving the people in any way, shape or form. And whether you call it a shithole, a cesspit or unfortunate, the message is still the same. Are they looking after the African people? Clearly not in a single country there. And you can carry on being divisive and throwing racist lines out here, there and everywhere, whilst ignoring what are the real problems for the African people. And as for the ANC over there, they are in no position whatsoever to point fingers at anyone else, and should concentrate on fixing their own racist policies and quit lynching and tire burning their own people, who have the temerity to disagree with them, whilst not ignoring the whites' slaughter program that they're running either. Pot, kettle and black springs to mind here, and some people can label that racist all they like, but it doesn't alter the conditions, hardship and poverty most people in Africa face, and perhaps a change of focus is required.